2 plus 2? 20.
2 plus 2 is 20. I think that's wrong. Is it?
Don't tell me it's wrong. What kind of world you live in?
All right, here we are, Tucker and Thompson.
I'm so glad to be back
again.
Man, I was sick.
I was too this week.
Dog sick, man. Yeah.
And then everybody called off. So I was working.
Is that what happened? So you just had to come in sick. Didn't matter. Isn't that crazy?
Last night, I was almost done being sick last night. Like, I did the podcast with or was it? Yeah, it was last night. I did the podcast on Sunday. And then I went home, passed out. Like, I had slept all day Saturday. So then Sunday, I do the podcast with Guido, and then I run home and I just go to sleep. I get woke up to the bartender calling me that the girl that's coming in at night is not coming in.
Oh, no.
She's got a baby shower. She forgot to request off or something, whatever. And I'm like, you're kidding me. She's just not coming in? And they're like, no, she's just not coming in. So I'm like, and by the way, I had to end the podcast early because I had to go open for the girl that was there in the daytime because she had drama at her house. So, yeah, I'm in this whole mix of... So then I ended up having to come here and close. I was a closer for the night. You know, I was bartending, closing. So then...
You bartended and cooked the food?
No, just bartended. Just bartended.
I see. Okay.
Yeah, I'll do both, but I mean, not at the same time.
You can cook food and bartend?
Yeah, oh yeah. Now I can.
Man, dude.
Did I ever tell you the story of the first time I had to serve? Oh, dude, it was bad.
Like, what was I don't...
So the first time I got to serve, there's nobody here, and the girl that worked the days didn't have a ride to work. I don't know if whoever was giving her rides, car wasn't working or something. I don't know what it was. So my wife's going to get her, going to pick her up, and I'm like, okay. So all of a sudden now here I am. I'm the server. I got to serve because we're open already. So I start serving, and all of a sudden it starts getting busy. I mean, I've got...
So when you serve, like...
3-4 tops, like...
When you're serving, like... No, you mean you serving... What are you serving? Food?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, food and beer, whatever we sell.
Oh, yeah. I thought you were just behind a bar giving drinks.
Oh, no, serving tables,
like waiting on
bartending,
tables
everything,
and
all that stuff.
Hope you got some good tips.
And it was lunchtime, so it's mostly food at lunchtime.
Okay.
So I got a bunch of tables coming in, you know what I mean? And
I feel like I could really do good at that job. I never did it.
You think that, but you don't give them. You got to give restaurant workers a little more credit than that.
I do, but I think I see. But anyway, go ahead.
So I'm moving and grooving, trying to get everything set up, and I'm doing okay. I'm under the gun and panicked, so I'm kind of like. Yeah. Chaotic in my head, but
do you get like when pressure comes to you? Do you get more refined? Does pressure make you better, or does pressure make you worse?
When it's something I've done, probably better. But this is a situation where I'm not even sure how to handle it.
Gotcha.
See, at this time we didn't have a POS system or anything. We would handwrite all the receipts. You know what I mean? Then have to take them back to the kitchen and put them in there and all that stuff. So either way, I'm moving and grooving. I'm doing my best, and I'm not doing bad. And I'm having conversations with people I'm letting them know, hey, I'm sorry, I've never, I'm the owner, but we've got somebody on their way. They'll be here any minute, And everybody seems to be okay with it. So I'm taking the order of this table. It's a 6-top. They're there
Do you
for
tell
lunch.
them, hey, I'm the boss. I'm out here doing it.
Yeah, I did.
They know. Okay, so.
So, and I was new. I mean, I just opened up maybe a few months. You know what I mean? So I write down these order at this table. I got this table here, and I'm writing down the order. And my wife and this girl come in, and I go, whew, thank God. Thank God. I'm good.
Oh, I thought they came in to eat.
No. She went and picked them up and brought the girl to work. Okay. So they come in, and I'm like, whew, thank God, And I'm like 40 minutes later, at the last table, I was taking her order. They're like, where's my food?
You thought you were doing so good.
I never put the stick in.
Oh, no.
They came in. I threw my hands up. I was like, oh, I'm good.
Oh, no.
So they were pretty mad. They probably never came back here again.
They
just got up and left. They didn't get anything.
Oh,
there was
no.
nothing. They just got up and left. They're like, we're here for lunch. We got to go back to work.
Oh. What do you do with that? Like, do you just like, I'm sorry, or like I'll send it to your work?
I don't know what to do. I mean, I didn't know what to do. They were up and gone before I even had a chance to even put it in my head what to do.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
But it, you know, it was my own first time. Now I'll kill it out there. I'll get them all. Now in fact, when I did bartend Sunday night, the one guy goes, you know, the best bartender I've had here in the last 2 months is you right now. You know what I mean?
What makes a good bartender?
Well, the first thing is to be understand that you're hosting a party.
That's so good, man. Yeah.
You're not part of the party, though. That's the biggest
You're
problem.
not here to party.
That's the biggest
You're here
problem.
to serve the party. Yeah.
So that's the biggest problem. And a lot of the girls have that issue. They're just there trying to have fun while they're at work, basically. A lot of them do.
Yeah.
There's others that don't.
If you're going to have fun doing that job, you got to just enjoy people.
Sure.
You have to enjoy social activity without the codependency aspect of the job.
Yes.
Because otherwise,
I agree.
You can't do it right.
Yeah, you got to be on your toes constantly.
You'll miss the cues.
And you got to push too, honestly.
That's why I think that's like when I go out to eat, I'm like, man, I would love to like try this once.
Come up here. I'll tell you what. We'll make you a celebrity server one night. We'll do it.
Nice.
We'll host a dinner.
Let's see if I can.
We'll put something nice on the menu, and we'll make you the celebrity server.
I'll dress up, man. I'll be out here. I'll have one of them little things you take and you put the crumbs off the table. I'll be out here doing it.
I wouldn't let you be a celebrity bartender because that just doesn't sit well, I don't think.
No, I don't think I could do that. I couldn't.
But server, you could do that.
I could serve food. Yeah, I serve food all the time. I serve bread all the time. That's the part I think I would I would like to try to do in that realm. Because I have to do it all the time. I have to serve people and connect with people. And I would love to
You're
try
missing the part, though, that makes it tough. The only thing that makes serving tough is the demand, like the immediate demand.
The pressure?
Because it's feast or famine. You're in there. You know what I mean?
It hits, and then it goes away.
Everybody eats dinner at 4 o'clock. You know what I mean?
Get it? Yeah. So it's coming in, and you got to handle your business.
Slammed, right? When you get slammed, you're slammed, and it's how you handle it when you're slammed is what really sets you apart.
Yeah. I've developed, I think, I don't know, could be wrong, but I feel like I've developed this temperament for pressure. Just like, okay, don't overreact, don't underreact.
Yeah, that's something that I think I definitely didn't do as well as a young man. But now,
age gives it to you. I don't.
I tend to go, okay, this isn't the end of the world. How do I figure this out? Type thing. Even in other ways away from.
Don't you wish you could have went back and told yourself that at a younger age? Like, all right, don't overreact.
No, if I went back to tell myself anything at a younger age, it would be buy Bitcoin right when it comes out.
I don't understand Bitcoin, dude.
Me neither, but it's a lot of money.
Figure it out, like
a lot of money.
It's all unicorn Smurf money to me. It's like Monopoly money.
I finally figured it out.
Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
I finally got a simple explanation that makes sense.
Explain it to me like I'm a 5-year-old.
So you always hear about a mining.
I feel like this is
mining
very
cryptocurrency, correct? You always hear that they mine cryptocurrency.
Yeah. So somebody down in like.
They have a server that actually mines the cryptocurrency.
So you're saying Mario is digging in his, what are you talking about when you're mining?
That's what I'm going to explain to you. What mining is essentially every transaction that's going on in the world digitally has to be verified.
Digitally. So when I spend money in the digital world.
And that includes credit card purchases,
right, okay.
anything.
So far, I'm with you.
It all has to be verified.
Verified.
And when that's verified, there's a small fee for the verification.
Okay.
That's what those miners are doing. They're taking the small fee for the verification.
But it's real money.
That is real money, yeah. Because it is taking a fee.
So it's like a percentage of a...
for
a cent?
Verifying a transaction, essentially.
I mean, I know I got that because every time I use a payment source, I get jacked. They steal from me. Like if I use credit cards or PayPal.
Well, we're about to do that here too. Yeah, I'm about to change. That changes February 1st here.
Jack me up.
We're going to start charging the person who's using a credit card rather than me paying it. Because right now, And mostly because it has moved so much. Since I bought the place, I went from 40% credit cards paying to closer to 70%.
Yeah.
So on a monthly, I'm spending anywhere from like $1,300 to $1,800 in credit card fees.
Yes.
To accept the money.
Yep.
So I'm moving to a system where if they're using credit cards,
they're paying it.
They can
per
pay it.
per transaction,
and that'll cover my electric bill at least or something. You know what I mean?
That's a good idea.
You know what I mean? Well, a lot of places are doing it. If you go to gas stations now, you notice though, a lot of places are now showing gas or cash and credit price.
But nobody takes cash anymore.
Well, a lot of places that like that do. They'll give you a cash price at the gas station.
I've heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of places are doing it, and I'm going to move on to it too. Cause
more industry service, like if I HVAC repair guys come out, they're like paying with card or cash. If you're paying with cash, it's a different. Yeah. They charge me more.
Well, that's how credit cards are working that way now. You can get that option if you want. That's what I'm going to move to because it just makes. Because first of all, if somebody spends $100 in here, okay, then they tip their server $20 or something. You know what I mean? I'm paying a percentage on the 120. So the 20 she's taking full hard on.
She's taking all of it.
I'm getting a percentage hit against me to do that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So then it just doesn't make sense to me because why should it cost me money for them to tip them? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just so there's that, and like I said, it's moved so much now where it's like it's literally like 70% of credit cards compared to when I opened.
So how does that affect you? Like no tax on tips. How's that going to affect you?
That shouldn't affect me at all.
Right?
Shouldn't. Why would that affect me?
Well, if there's no tax on tips, then the only thing that's taxed is no, that wouldn't. I don't know.
No, that doesn't affect me. It'll just like instead of it going to the IRS, it'll go to them. That's all. I mean, it won't affect me theoretically. I mean, it'll affect how I process it certainly, but not. It won't.
Yeah,
it won't affect my bottom line. That's not like something that comes out of my money or anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it definitely makes it simpler. I mean, I don't know how they're going to do that exactly if they still have to claim their income.
Yeah, I've thought about that. Like, how in the world then? Okay, so you give me my bill. Like, how do I, I tip 25%?
Yeah.
I mean,
what does that matter?
I don't know. How do they separate all that? How do they determine that?
Oh, it's a nightmare.
It seems like it. Yeah,
it is a nightmare.
Like I wouldn't want to figure it out.
I'll be honest. I do more guessing about it. I honestly take like what we brought in for taxes on tips for the week. I take that in and kind of divvy it up between the girls and how many hours they have. That's how I basically do it. I mean, you could be more specific. There are companies that'll literally not let them take the tips out of the register, and then they have to get them in their check type of stuff. But I don't do that. Although
that would be the appeal of doing service industry. I would want the tips at the end of the day.
Sure. But a lot of people do it, and I think that the reason I've just recently started hearing that they do that, and I think that maybe the reason that is because of the, like I said, the 70% usage. So now you don't have the cash to tip them out like that.
So how do you do that?
Well, I do. I have enough, but I'm just saying some of the other places might not. That might be why they're doing it, especially like if you're in. Like,
yeah, because then they get
like Red Lobster. I would believe that like a Red Lobster or a Texas Roadhouse, like if I'm pushing 70%, they're probably pushing 90%.
Yeah, because who? I'm saying, like, who
so
carries
they
cash?
just got to keep cash around. So I mean, it would make sense to me for them to put it in their check because that way they can just write the check because the money goes right into their account. If that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I mean, it's just I don't know. That's just my thought on it.
So cryptocurrency though, like you figured it out, and that's
what I was told. That was the explanation given to me, and that was the only one that finally gave me like peace of mind. Where I went, okay, so it is actual money.
It's real money.
It is actually there, but there's people mining it they have servers that are basically verifying transactions and getting paid for their service, essentially. Which now with that new supercomputer, I think that's gonna change the game.
There's a supercomputer.
You haven't heard about it?
No.
It's like
what's a supercomputer?
Google, I think they said I want to say they said 10. They said this computer calculated a program that a supercomputer for today, like a powerful computer today, would take 6 trillion years
Okay.
to process. It did in 10 minutes.
Okay.
And it's a Google, I think a Google chip. It's a new processing chip that they're saying is, they're calling it a multiverse chip, basically. I don't know. But I'm assuming that if they get that kind of speed coming out of a processing chip, the whole mining of cryptocurrency is over. Like, because right now people mine it. They buy servers and they get a cold room and they basically mine for cryptocurrency.
Yeah. You really thought this through.
But I would think one computer now could replace probably all the computers that are mining it right now in the world. I would imagine if it's that. I mean, first of all, I'd have to figure out what trillion is, because I don't know. I don't even have
whatever that is.
I have no concept of that. Yeah, I have no clue, but I know it's big. I do know.
I just learned how to spell million, so it's all good.
Math question. That's what we were talking earlier before we went on.
The question.
So we have a question.
There is a math question.
There is a simple math question. It's a very simple math question.
Okay.
We have a room with 100 people in it.
Oh, boy.
99 are right-handed, and one's a left-handy, okay? Giving us 99% left-handed people in the room. Simple equation, correct?
You just said 99.
Or right-handed people.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
99% right-handed people in the room, right? Simple equation.
Okay.
How many right-handed people do we have to pull out of the room to make that equation 98% right-handed people?
It wouldn't matter how many you pulled out of the room because you don't have any left-handed people in the room.
You've got one.
Oh, to make it to where there was 98%
right-handed.
Right-handed.
How many would you have to take out of the room to make it go from 99% left-handed to 98%, or 99% right-handed to 98% right-handed?
I mean, clearly, I'm going to say one more, but that is not the answer.
That is not the answer.
That is not the answer. So I will.
They say that only 1% of people in the world will answer that question correctly within 30 seconds. Most can figure it out with a piece of paper.
Okay.
But that only 1% will get it correct within 30 seconds.
Clearly not me. So who is it?
Well, my son, 12-year-old son, was one of them. He got it. And then actually the girl that does the pull tabs here, Anita, her daughter got it too. The answer is 50.
50.
50 is the answer.
I still don't get it.
Oh, it's a simple equation. Think about it.
It's not very simple.
If you pull out 50 people out of the room, you have 49 and 1. You double that, you have 98 and 2.
Yeah.
It's it's that simple, but most people don't grasp it. It's not a mathematical problem as much as it messes with your head, I think, more than anything. I'm with you, dude. I said 3 or 4, maybe 5. I didn't know. I knew the answer wasn't 1. I go, it's not 1. I knew it wasn't 1, but what was it? And I was guessing in the 5-10 range or something. I didn't know. I didn't know math. I'm just like 5 or 10, maybe. I don't know.
I don't know. I got a phone. I can ask it. It'll tell me.
Yeah, but my 12-year-old just
he just knew it.
He's smarter than me.
I mean,
which is good. That's what you want. But he is definitely smarter than me. But I had to verify to him last night. I go, you got to understand, being smarter is not more educated. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's a big difference here. I still know a lot more than you do.
Yeah, I mean,
you're just able to figure things out easier than I did. You know. But yeah, he's smart. I was playing chess with him for a while, and I beat him all the time. The other day, I was cooking and playing chess with him, and he got me. And I made a mistake. I knew it when I did it. I'm like, shit. And I'm in the middle of cooking. I'm like, man, I'm going to have to sit down with him and really play and not just like be playing, you know? So now I'm a little nervous. I mean, I'm not nervous because if he beats me, he beats me. Good, God bless him. You know what I mean? But I thought, well, I'll pull out a movie for him to watch. I thought, you ever seen that or heard of that movie, The Queen's Gambit?
Mm-mm.
It's a movie about a prodigy that was like 9 years old in an orphanage. A chick that, started playing chess with the janitor or something, but
I see.
ended up being like she's a beast. She just was killing it. And I want to have you watch this movie, Queen's Gambit. And he goes, you mean Gambit? And I go, probably.
Yeah, that's probably what it is.
It sounds better than what I just said.
You know what I meant. Smart aleck.
So then he goes, this is what he tells me. He says, all I know about that is when you get out to the E4, and then when you bring the knight out to whatever number he said, he goes, the gambit doesn't start until the knight gets into play. Or I'm like, clearly, he's beating me the next time we play,
yeah,
right?
Man,
I mean, it's clearly going to happen.
He done studied it. You're in trouble. You're in trouble. You start talking like that. He done figured it out.
I'm not even sure I know all the rules. I'm pretty good at it. But
I think so you mean to tell me that guy can't do that? I've been doing that the whole time. No, he can't do that.
Oh yeah, he's sharp as a tack. But yeah, I was thoroughly impressed that he literally went, it's not one. And he goes, 50. And I'm like, wow, how did he do that?
Yeah, how did he do that?
It's just sharp. He gets math.
Yeah, I still don't get it, so yeah. Like for that, I'm at the age where I'm like, I don't even need to occupy space in my brain for that anymore. Like,
I see. I'm different. I feel like I try to like. A lot of times when I'm adding the money when I'm bringing the register up and counting, it's my Uncle Dale's fault. I'm not saying it's not. It's his fault. But I used to use a calculator immediately when I first got to the place. I'd use a calculator, to add everything up. And then he goes, "That's how you get stupid." He's seen me doing it. He goes, "That's how you get stupid. You got to work your tools." Well,
I work my tools in different areas.
That's why I tend to just count it out and do
you count it out.
I always have, but I kind of do it that way more than I do on a calculator for sure. Just because it does, he's right. It keeps you sharper. He's right about that.
Yeah, if I read a lot, then I'm sharper.
Yeah.
Like in seasons, like I go in and out of seasons of reading, like just consuming massive amounts of literature. When I'm reading, I'm sharp. Like I just, in my responses, in my, my time, like I'm just really, really sharp. But in the seasons where I'm down, I'm not really reading that much. It's delayed.
It delays?
Mm-hmm. It's
I'm always delayed.
The little thing is just going around and around. Like, I need to read some more.
I'm always delayed. That's what I do. But I don't know if you even remember that, but when I was a kid, that was part of what happened to me. I ended up in like slow learner classes when I was, like fourth grade or something like that? Was it that? Yeah, maybe.
Yeah. I think
it was Mr. Was it Mr. Sally that picked up on it? It was Mr. Sally.
I don't know.
My IQ was good. They tested me for my IQ. My IQ was like 120, I think. It was a solid IQ. But I'm just a little bit like I'm slower. I'm not going to react fast. And now that I know that about myself, I'm fine with it. I'm okay with that. I think things out a little bit more.
This is wisdom.
It's not wisdom, I don't think.
It is.
It takes a minute for me to process it. I just don't look at it and go, boom, like Dylan does.
Yeah, but like a lot of the times, I think for the most part, a lot of those classes back in the day, you put a good majority of kids in there that really, development is such
your ego.
Well, development is such a subjective, idea. Like, who's to say you're supposed to? Who made these rules up for us? You know what I mean?
That's
who made the rules?
That's like the
who
IQ
said that
test.
Boys should be here at this point? Like,
yeah.
No. I think that a lot of what we've come to accept as normalized education was really just pressure put on us by a system that didn't understand fully the development of adolescence. They just didn't understand it. And they presumed to understand it because there was a large they forced a system that made people like you and me conform to the system rather than set the rules for the system. Like, just because I didn't develop according to your system doesn't mean that your system understands my development.
Yeah, but I think I like that. I think that's okay. I think you
it's
have
terrible.
No, I don't think so.
It is terrible.
And the reason why is because that did happen to me. I did it. I personally went through it, and I was in it a year, and then I hated it. I just out of my ego. My ego is all that it bothered me. But
some boys won't recover from that.
I get that. I understand that they won't,
and they'll live with that stigmatism their whole life, and they will define themselves as.
And
such.
That's the problem. There's the problem. The definition, but the recognition that you're not in form with everyone else is okay. Just sit down and point to that. You know what I mean? Just realize it, recognize it, and work with that person that needs that without saying, hey, you're retarded. You know what I'm saying?
I understand that.
But you need a standardized test. I think it's necessary because it's when you go to work in the real world, mm-hmm. I mean, they have expectations.
As an adult.
But what is being a child and learning except for teaching you how to be an adult?
It's teaching you how to problem solve, not teaching you the answers to the problems or to the questions that they provide. The development of your intellect and mind should be not here answer these questions, but more what do you think? Explore the options rather than here are the answers, and if you don't answer them correctly, you are mentally disadvantaged. No, the critical thinking, learning to think is the object of becoming intelligent. Learning to think. Don't you enjoy?
I think you have to learn. I think that you have to have the standardization to competence. Like, okay, for instance, for me, when I was a kid, when they put that on me like that,
exactly,
I compensated and I was able to correct it. Believe it or not, this is going to blow your mind. You know how I compensated it? I started doing what they use now, what they call Common Core math, but I did it myself. That's how I figured it out. In my brain, it worked.
Yeah.
So when I found out Common Core math I was annoyed that they're doing this new math. And then when my daughter showed me what Common Core, that's how I always do math.
Like, I've been doing it that way.
And that's how I compensated to get where I should be. So, I mean, if there's no measure, I don't believe there has to be a measure. Now, I'm not saying you're not wrong.
I think
to say that you say somebody is completely an idiot for not knowing this or not knowing that. I agree with you on that stance of it. But there has to be a measuring stick. If there's not a measuring stick, then what is there?
We eliminate possibilities because we form intellect based on the answers we want, not what lies inside of the potential person in front of us. We limit it, and we're like, the answer is this.
I don't believe that.
You do, because there are geniuses out there that are labeled retarded that are really not retarded at all. They just don't even think like you. They think 5 levels beyond where it's your son. Like, I see it before you had to sit down and write on paper. I already saw it. That's your son. He's an example. Like,
I get
he doesn't
that,
need you to tell him the answer. He was there already. And we rob ourselves of incredible potential.
Without testing and measuring, you wouldn't even know that about them. So now that you know that, now you put them in the advanced. You put them in the, I mean, you have to have a measuring stick, dude. You just have to, I think. I mean, you just have to. I'm not saying when it comes to, other things, but when it comes to because math is, the one thing beautiful about math is that it's certain. Math has a certainty as far as math goes.
Okay.
Science could be questionable. English could be questionable. But math is always math. Math always maths. It's how it is. It just always does.
It does.
There's always a correct answer. Always.
But there are more than one ways to get to
I
the definitive
100% agree with
answer.
that. 100% agree with
And
that.
if we force people into our systems, then we're not allowing them to teach us. We're telling them this is the way it is, rather than like forming intellect in people. Like it doesn't exist anymore. We create in our matrix. We are creating consumers, not leaders.
I don't disagree. I disagree, and I'll tell you why. When you do that, you make it complicated and harder for them, is what you're saying, basically. You're making it harder for them to learn and advance. And the people that are leaders,
Okay.
the people that are going to change the world, I promise you that's not going to stop them. Those hiccups are what drove them. They got past that and moved on it on their own.
I don't think you'll know that.
I positively know that. I know that there's I know that there's nobody out there that would have maybe changed the world, but the math teacher didn't think he was mathing right. I know that.
Oh, you're crazy.
No, I don't
think
believe that.
there are not students that die with potential inside of them.
Potential, changing the world potential, I know.
Yes. And have they not been categorized? Have they not been put in a category? They could have they could have unleashed what was inside them, but because they did not conform. And yes, I'll give it to you. There's a percentage that will have the fortitude to overcome the deep need of every human being to be affirmed. And so they'll do whatever they have to earn the affirmation of the person in front of them. So they'll even force their intellect into the bottleneck of whatever it is they're being asked to do, like you did. But how many can you say that didn't have that fortitude?
But how many do you think would have been your
suppressed.
leaders of the world anyways? That's what I'm saying. Your leaders and strong. I mean, if you're strong, because first of all, intellect doesn't build leaders usually. Intellect is a good feature in a leader, but strong, driven,
critical thinking.
Critical thinking.
What we can deduce by the last 5 years, our experience over the last 5 years, is that very few individuals feel the freedom to think critically. That's why they put the mask on their face. That's why they took the jab. That's why they did it all, because they failed to have the critical thinking that was required in the moment that met them. And my thing is, like, how many? Now that's just with the vaccine. And can we say that?
I can say whatever I want.
Censored, dude.
Well, no, didn't you see today?
No.
We'll talk about that next. Keep going.
But that like, okay, so that's with that major thing in society, and we have empirical evidence. We can go back now and look at it, and we can see that 98% of society failed. And if you ask how many people today who had the
I mean, I don't know if it's 98. It might be like.
I mean, dude.
It might be like that failed.
I'm just doing a 1 out of. I'm just doing a
70. I think there's a lot of people that said no.
Out of 10 people, 7 out of 10 admit. I would say, like you say, yes, 7 out of.
I think, yeah, that seems right.
Maybe 8. I don't know.
Could be.
It's somewhere in there. I'm guessing.
Sure.
I don't know for sure, but I just did the math around the people around me, and I'm like, do you have critical thinking skills enough to like just kind of look at this at face value and go, something's amiss, something's afoot here? Like, why did everybody comply?
Well, I don't know. My father-in-law is the one that boggles my mind the most. My father-in-law, he listens to all the podcasts, like all the right-wing.
Even the evidence is there now, and they still won't.
He listens to all the right-wing extreme stuff. Like he's Mr. Trump, like he's Mr. NRA, he's this, and he went and got jabbed. I go, what? Why would you do that? I mean, aren't you listening to the people that are telling you not to do this?
Yeah,
I mean, and he's always, and he regrets it, I think. But I mean,
and you would have to say, in some capacity, we failed to raise critical thinkers in society, and instead we put them in our system, and we got what we put in. We got it. We got compliance. We taught them how to think. We taught them how to live, and now they're doing exactly
I've
what we
always
taught
said
them to
that
do.
the school system is always there. School system is always there, basically teaching you how to work for someone.
Exactly.
That is the
And
process of it. Because if you look, most of your leaders didn't do that well in school. They didn't fall in line. They didn't do. You know what I'm saying? But I also think at the same time that they were leaders. They were leaders despite that, and I believe that would be the case in the end. That's how I feel about it. I don't think that I don't think that there's going to be. I mean, everybody latches onto a teacher. I'm sure you did. I know I did. Everybody latches onto somebody who inspired you or made you think different or something.
Mrs. Hoagland.
There was always somebody. There was always.
Shout out to
everyone had
Mrs.
that.
H. Yeah.
Everyone had that, and that's all it requires. But I will give you that they shouldn't label. Like the labels and
Look, man.
And the pulling the putting the labels on them and like making them feel like they're less of something.
I had some. Look,
that's not
we
good.
had friends. We had friends, right? And you know they had the room that they put you in because you were learning.
Suspension.
You were learning disabled. You You remember that room?
Yeah.
Yeah, there was that one room up top of the stairs there in the old wing of Clearview, and so
I was never in that one.
Well, Manuel Roman was.
Yeah.
Right. And today, Manuel is like works in the police force, like, but for many years he was in that room, right? And we all knew like, what are you doing? And Manuel was cool with it because he knew as long as he was in that room, he didn't have to work hard at all. He literally knew that. And we'd be like, dude, what are you doing? And he was like, I'm on the honor roll, bro. And he didn't have to work hard at all. And I'm like, that doesn't.
It doesn't add up. That
doesn't add up. Yeah, that's it. It's so instead of like raising. Like I understand there are individuals in society that are learning like handicapped. Okay, so like they're a little delayed in their development, but just because they're delayed doesn't mean that we should label them.
I agree with that. 100%.
In that limited time frame,
100%.
You know, of which they're delayed.
I agree
because
with that.
I have a little boy that we adopted, and this little boy, because of what he went through as a child, now is a bit delayed in development according to the standard of the world.
Sure.
But what I see in him is like, oh, no. Like, you may not be where they are now, but just because you're not where they are now doesn't mean that in other areas you're not excelling. So physically, this kid he climb top of that tree over there. He could do other things outside of like 2 + 2 that other kids can't do yet. But I can see in him the potential to do it, and that when he's ready, he will.
Sure.
When he's ready, he will.
And that's what I'm saying. The label thing is bad. But like for me, my experience was they came in, they said, okay, the math isn't my math grades weren't there. You know what I'm saying? So they did a IQ test, first thing they did. And like I said, I got 120, which is very high, actually. It's not like genius or not, but it's a very high IQ.
You're a genius.
No, I'm definitely not. That's like 140 or something. I actually have a friend
Is 140 a genius?
Yeah, I think it's 140.
I never took one of those.
No? You've never done it?
No, because I'm not a genius.
Well, they forced me into it. They forced me into it. So it was 120, so they knew immediately that it wasn't an intelligence issue. So that's why they put me into the class. But had they have not done that, they wouldn't have known that. Now, I'll give you this much. The class irritated me, fucked with my ego. I got to quit cussing. Messed with my ego. But the IQ score made me feel like, okay, I got this.
I'm not dumb.
I got this. I just got to apply myself a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I'm just slacking a little bit.
That makes a lot of difference. You know,
that was the word I was looking for either earlier. Leaders or confidence and conviction is everything.
All of my development, I would say, came at once I arrived at a place of confidence. Then I'm like, oh, I'm not weird because I don't think like you. I'm not weird because I don't fit your little algorithm.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, that's what makes me distinct. and unique and original.
Sure.
But I think we do a disservice to a generation when we force them into the system that defines what's intelligent and what's not, and what is normal. What is normal? Like, we take kids. Think how jacked up this is. We take little boys and we tell them to sit in a room full of unnatural light during the peak of the day when they should be climbing trees, playing in mud holes, fishing, and we force them to sit there and do these circus tricks for us to prove to us that they're normal.
No.
There's nothing normal about taking kids.
You really
shoving
look at
them
that the wrong way.
No, I look at that the way it is.
No, you take them in there to teach them and let them learn to grow. They're not going to learn the math climbing a tree.
Do you suppose that's the way to learn?
I believe that, the Bible wouldn't have been written if it didn't want to be taught. It's the way I see it. I mean, if the Bible was written and just sitting there and everybody was climbing trees, what good would it do?
I see what you did there. You put the Bible in there, but that doesn't make your argument more conclusive to me.
Sure it does.
No.
Because if you're not learning, what do you do then? You got to learn.
You got to learn. You have to learn. But who set the rules for how we learn? That's it.
Like, we did. Unfortunately, we did.
And a bunch of rich people set that up for their own. Set a system up that tyrannizes us all and creates consumers out of us all. That whole structure, Rockefeller, right? He sets this whole thing up to meet the end of, I need workers for my industry. So and then it's crazy. Then if you do the parallels between prison and schools, they're almost identical in how they operate and how they function.
Yeah,
from the appearance of them.
Yeah.
So the system, I'm saying the system is so messed up.
I'm not saying it's not broken. I definitely agree with that.
Like, as society, we'd be better off just dismantling that. That's what makes me hopeful about what I hear in Washington now. They're talking about dismantling these systems and restructuring them in ways that really search for the best of humanity. I mean, I don't know if that's true. Those are high hopes.
Yeah, you're concentrating on the testing aspect of it, and
the whole system is the system as a whole.
But it has to be taught. Teaching. The teaching has to happen, and that may have to take place
teaching is unique to the child, to the individual.
But putting them in a room,
be conformed.
Putting them in a room when they want to be out fishing and climbing a tree that's teaching you a major thing right there. That's teaching you discipline, because most people that are working, whether it's for somebody else or at a restaurant or whatever you want to call it, most of them have to have the discipline to not go out on the boat and be at the restaurant, or on the Harley and be at the church.
It's true.
Yeah, I mean, this is a discipline. It is a teaching mechanism, and it has to happen.
Discipline.
Is it right? Is the whole system correct? No.
I think it's...
And maybe blowing it up and starting over isn't a bad idea.
I think 75% of the system's broken. I think there are some good teachers that are stuck in a construct that has been hijacked long ago for a nefarious end.
Yeah, to some degree, I agree with that.
Yeah,
to some degree. Yeah. I don't think all schools are like that. I know,
I feel like a lot of America's waking up to that reality.
Yeah,
and I think homeschools are becoming more popular now.
See, but that's the
private
problem
schooling
with homeschool
is becoming more popular now.
The problem with homeschooling is the social aspect. Like, you need
everyone
that.
says
you
that.
You need that. You need it.
Yeah,
you have to have it.
I agree that you have to have. I agree that you have to have. So all I see now is these memes that I've saw. Like, they're talking about, like, they said homeschool would make a weird kid, and then they show this liberal, blue-haired, weird, like, can't tell what sex it is, and then they show this normal homeschool kid that's just, playing with Legos. It's a boy.
But I mean, in all fairness, this is the problem. It's not the blue-haired weirdo kid. There's nothing wrong with that kid.
It's not the blue-haired. You're right.
The blue-haired weirdo kid, he is critically thinking. He needs a little. He needs corrected because he's not right. You know what I mean?
But he came from an.
But he's trying to think outside the box. You know what I mean? He's thinking outside the box. It's kind of like when we were in high school, it was the progressives, remember? And I always laughed because they were nonconformists.
What'd you call them? What'd you just call them? You call them progressives?
Yeah, that's what we called them.
No, when you say we, who's your we, son? You got a frog in your pocket? What are you talking about?
The people that we grew up with, like all my friends, we called them progressives. The kids that were in school, the all black, like with the black nail polish.
Oh, the emos. Yeah,
I think that's what they called them after we left school, was emos.
I don't remember giving them a name. I remember.
Oh, we did. We called them progressives. Is that what we called? Yeah. But they're nonconformists is their thing, right? But what are they doing?
Yeah, the
what are they
doing?
What are they doing? They're all conformed to each other.
They're all just,
Andre, my buddy, used to just laugh all the time. He'd go, that's the hilarious. Like, they're the most conformed group there is. Like, they're all exactly the same. You know what I mean?
I mean, we all, to some degree, found refuge in herd mentality.
Sure, we all
because that's
cliques.
where you're safe.
Yeah.
You're safe in your herd. I was I'm gonna go play football and hang out in the gym and
that's socializing.
Yeah,
it's
so you
amazing.
just in the community. But you know who was fascinating, and it really fascinated me, was this individual, and I spent some time with him down in Florida when I was there. It was Chris Vidovich. Vito was a weird dude. Even like among all of the pressure, and I learned something from him in life that the coolest kid is the kid that doesn't do what everybody else is doing. And that is something that he did and continues to do, even to this day. This dude, like, if you're wearing one thing, he's not wearing that. He's going to wear something totally different. I always considered
him cool as hell, never weird.
Was so
you always thought he was weird?
No, he was cool. But
I thought he was cool.
I thought he was cool, but he was weird cool, you know? He was weird cool because you're like, who does that? Who does what you do? Like, and he would do it, and it seemed as if he was just flying so high above us all. And we're over here buying the same shoes and trying to wear the same bracelets and got a tail. And he was just like, no, I'm going to do what I'm going to do.
And he had his little curly top. He had that, like,
he was just cool.
What was that movie, Can't Buy Me Love? He had that type of hairdo, remember, back then?
He did, yeah. He did.
Yeah. No, I ended up friends with his cousin, like
Matthew?
Randy and Matt. I was both of them. And Randy actually worked for me and started my painting division when I had.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. He's a painter now still. But
yeah, I hung out with Vito, me and Marlon. He lives down in St. Pete's, somewhere down there, in Tampa or something. And we got together with him, went golfing, rode around on a boat together.
Pretty sweet.
Just talked.
Yeah, Matt wrecked my car. He did me wrong.
Oh no.
Not like in a bad way, but we were out drinking and he took my car. I think he got caught at Vic's. Matt did. And like we were underage, both of us. But they caught him, not me. I'm like, well, there's a girl over here.
We all got into Vic's underage, man. Everybody got into Vic's underage.
But I was talking to a girl and I'm like, yeah, I'm not leaving, And he took my car.
Bro, I'm not going nowhere.
And he got trashed. He was a Brandon Kalo, actually. And they were trashed.
Oh, wow.
And he freaking totaled my car. He went through a telephone pole, hit 2 cars. Dude, I had to freaking make payments on this shit before they'd give me my license back. I was only like 19. I had to drive, go to work for 3 years with no license. Because I had to make payments to pay it back. Because the way it worked was the law took my license, so I couldn't go to a judge and ask for privileges. It was like the law, it just, I don't know how to.
That's it. That's just
there
the
was
way
no
it is.
judge that ordered it. The law was because there was no insurance on it. It wasn't my accident, it was his, but it was my vehicle. Mm. You know what I'm saying? So the law that you have to have insurance, he didn't have insurance. He didn't even have a license.
Well, he should have been obligated
I
financially.
should have never gave him the car.
Well,
I was worried about a girl.
He stole it. He stole it. That's what I would have turned it real quick. He stole that car.
Yeah, so that did me in. So then anyway, so when Randy came to work for me, his whole family's like, dude, he's going to keep your money for the money Matt owes him. But I mean, I
didn't do it.
I would never do that. I don't even hold it against Matt. I mean, that was my fault.
We kids.
Yeah, he was a good. Me and him were real close at one time. But he said Chris was kind of weird too. I was like, really? I just never seen Chris as that.
I'm telling you, Chris is a weird, cool dude. Like even to this day, Like, he's just a weird, cool dude. Like,
yeah, I always liked him. Always.
He's so fascinating.
He had that freaking. When I envision him with that, like I said, the can't buy me hair, can't buy me love hair, and that striped shirt, like a striped shirt.
I know the shirt you're talking about.
I mean, that's how I envision him every time when I think of him.
Yeah.
Oddly enough.
But for me, he was like growing up, like as I didn't know it, but I was like, that's how you're cool. That's how you're cool. When you just won't do what the herd does. Yeah. And you just have the confidence to do whatever it is you want to do. And the older I got, the more I'm like, I'm just going to do what I want to do. And I'm not really concerned with who approves or not. And I don't know, I guess in going back to where we were, like, I think that if we would just put more confidence in individual rather than the class, like, instead of making us conform, just put confidence in the kid. Just put more confidence in the kid, and
confidence. I agree.
Create critical thinking in the individual. Like, let's educate the individual, not the class. And I think that's where you get a better.
How much is the confidence of the people that are in, tag programs? And I mean, they have pretty good confidence.
They do, yeah.
You need the system to do that.
I don't know. Well, I mean, you think about that. It's a good point, man. You think about it, and you're like,
when I got that IQ test,
see,
that overrode what happened as far as this class they told me I had to take. The IQ test told me I was smart enough. At that point, I felt like I was smart. I probably never felt like I was smart before that, honestly. If I'm being honest, I probably just thought I was average. I was always pretty quick with the tests. Like, we'd do a test, I'd always be one of the first ones out. But I wasn't getting 100%. I was like 98 or 80 or something. You know what I mean? But I would run through the test. But I wasn't trying. I just didn't think I was all that smart. I was just trying to get done with the test and be done with it.
Yeah. I don't know what
I mean, you need those. Without the measuring stick, how do you know where you're at? How do you give confidence? Because you're talking specifically on the ones that are failing it, but the ones that are succeeding it, I mean, their confidence gets boosted pretty high.
They still deal with the same insecurities, though.
Do they?
Sure.
I don't think that somebody in the tag program that's making.
You think they have the confidence in the world just because they've learned to think like they were told to think? Absolutely not.
I don't know that they're thinking the way. I don't like the way you say that. Like, think the way they. I don't know that that's what they're doing in most high schools. I mean, I'm not saying
that's
that
what they're doing in the entire education system.
I'm not
son.
saying
I'm
that
sorry to tell you, but there is a system, and if you don't conform to their system, you are labeled either this or that. Yes, that's the way it is.
But if the state decides what the answers are, and they have, and we have elected those people and put them in place.
No.
Yes.
No.
Yes.
Who elected these people, put them in place and said, create a system that defines whether or not my child is normal or abnormal?
Well, because what you're describing is chaos. If you walk into a room if you walk in with no parameters, where do you begin? Where do you start? Where do you end?
It was like, okay, so let's take, it's going to be hard to do that too. But let's just take the concept of college. Okay. Sitting in a room with a professor.
That's almost unnecessary, but go ahead.
That's not. What are you talking about, man?
College is unnecessary in most places.
Well, it has become that.
You do need a basic education.
It has become stupid because there's no critical thinking. We're not. So okay, here's the professor. I loved college because it let me think. It allowed me to think, and it didn't define. That's what appealed to me in college. Like I'm like, oh, like, so you're giving me this stuff, and you're letting me decide how to get to the answer. I love that about chemistry in college. I love that about like my English courses. I love that about every aspect of college, that I was the one, and I was now the responsibility for the conclusion was to me. And it didn't mean that there weren't definitive answers, but the arrival to those answers forced me to think critically. Okay, how does 2 + 2 = 4? Well, there are many ways we can get to 4, but it allowed me the expression of like, okay, let me figure this out. That's what I loved about it, and I think that's what's missing from school today. There's not enough.
I think that's for college,
there?
though. I think that's at a college level. I think that's for college. I think a basic education system is exactly what it is, a basic education system. I mean, I think that you learn more in school and in the primary, regular school prior to college, high school, middle school. They all have. I think that they need to readdress. I think like in the earlier years, I think they need to really teach socializing far more than they do. I think they need to make that more of the criteria in those younger years as they're teaching them. I'm not saying don't teach them, but like when they they started focus on trying to push the limits a little bit too much. Like I remember when we were kids, like in kindergarten, you weren't even expected to read, and it was a half a day. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I took naps, drank chocolate.
Yeah, and it was like a half a day. It was. I mean, I didn't go to kindergarten. Actually, I went straight to first grade. I didn't. My mom just didn't even. My mom just didn't put me in.
I was eating crayons.
So then, when Lexa went to kindergarten, it was an option. You could go for a full day.
Yeah.
And I think that it helped her. She did well by doing it. I thought, well, why not? It just advances her. You learn a little more maybe. And for her, it did. By the time Haley went to school, now, I mean, and they're only 3 years apart, 97, 94. By the time Haley went to school, kindergarten was full day regardless, and you were to be reading by the time you left kindergarten. That's just how it is now. But it wasn't like that even when Lexa went in. So they're pushing more of a criteria, and it walked away from the social aspect, which to me is more important in the younger years to learn how to socialize with people.
I think agree. I think that's big. I think
you learned.
If you ask me, yeah, I think you just hit it. I think that's it.
But I mean, the basic education should be structured. I do believe that. Until college. College is different, and I believe that colleges, you have a choice, right? Like you can go to Tri-C, or you go to LCC, or you can go to Ohio State, or you know what I mean? I believe that the colleges need a little more freedom so that they can give you something that's more appealing to you. You know what I mean? So that it's like going out to eat. You go, what's your flavor? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And because some people love the structure. Some people, that's what they want.
One more caveat to consider.
Okay.
With school, the school systems that we've created, or that were created, and now we just continue to do. We perpetuate broken systems, but
they're so different from they're constantly trying to fix it. They're so different from when we were in school.
I don't think they're trying to fix it. I think they're trying to defend it, and instead of fixing it, they're doubling down on defending what's in their best interest, meaning the system and the school system, and those who are in it. Because if they were honest with themselves, they would say, these clearly don't work because if we take these standards and we move them to different demographics of society, they don't work there. And the reason they don't work there is because of a whole set of circumstances, like basic needs being met, that kind of thing. But what we did learn in the last during COVID and over that, because they shut down, right?
Right.
They shut down everything. And what we learned over COVID is that education didn't stop. It was just...
No, but we've got a lot of social issues with kids now.
We do, yes. We do. A lot. But the education didn't stop.
No.
The socialization stopped.
Yes.
And what we see from the education aspect of it was, the parents now were teaching their kids. And when the parents were teaching their kids, you know how long it took to do? An hour. Kids were getting done with their schoolwork in an hour. Took them 6 hours before. Now it takes them an hour. Go ahead, do the math on it.
You had a different family.
No. During COVID,
let me tell you something. My
students at home were learning way faster their content.
I don't believe that.
Do the studies. You don't have to believe me. Just do the studies and research.
I'll just talk about my own personal. I know that it was rougher on Dylan to try and learn from Amanda. you know what I mean, than it was for him in a classroom. He's not structured. So he doesn't listen to us like he does a teacher. You know what I'm saying? Because he needs that, I think. My sister, who's a school teacher, she told me, I'll take the 20 kids in a classroom over these 3 every time. This is horrible.
At home?
Yeah. She goes, every time. She goes, I'm a teacher and this is too hard for me. So,
well, my wife is a teacher.
I don't know where that stat comes from.
Oh, it's known. You can research it. My wife is a teacher. She taught for 10 years in the Lorraine school system. She taught our
So
child.
it's her fault.
No, but she taught our child, and our child was going to school just like everybody else. But then he stayed home. We were done with school by 10 o'clock.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. To this day, I mean, he does like an hour, and he's progressing, and he's learning disabled. He came with a whole set of circumstances behind him
that
are challenging to his
fair analogy, because if you're in a classroom with 20 or 30 kids, I mean, to expect you to teach one kid the same is a lot harder.
You just proved my point.
Yeah, that's a lot harder.
The system's broke.
Nah, I don't think so.
You just proved my point. You
How?
just said
How did I do that?
You said, well, if he's in a classroom with that many kids,
yeah,
which tells me that
you have to teach.
That we're teaching classes, not kids. We're teaching classes, not kids. We're teaching standards, not children. We're teaching criteria, not children. It's the child.
I don't agree with that.
You have to.
I don't, because when you go to a school, no, I didn't. I did not say what you say. I said that it would take longer because you're addressing 30 kids, 20 to 30 kids.
So effectively, to teach a group, a classroom full of kids, you can't effectively do it.
I'm not saying that. If you taught 30 kids, if I took an hour to teach 30 kids one subject, you taught 30 in that time. That's a 30-hour day the way you're talking.
So what you're saying is that
that's like assembly line process is what you're talking about. No,
what you're saying is assembly line. What I'm saying is...
Well, that's what I'm saying. What I'm saying is you're talking assembly line. I'm saying that the one person teaching 30 is far more efficient than the one teaching 1.
For the person teaching, not for the student. The student learns better, isolated.
Possibly. But the other thing is that
so if you increase the number of teachers and lessen the number of students in a classroom, you would be able to teach them at half the time.
I don't agree with that. And I'll tell you why.
Because somebody out there in the world.
Because what happens in a school, and you're
let's
ignoring
ask educators.
That, we could ask educators. But what happens in a school is that you have, first of all, you're limited. To learn from one person, you're limited to that person's ability to teach you. So you don't bring in your favorite teacher, for instance. You see what I'm saying? That's necessary for all of us, because that's when we really start to learn, when we find somebody that we really dig.
Yeah, I agree. I'll give that to you. Yeah, there are teachers that are more effective at teaching the material than others.
Well, Mrs. Holcomb wasn't more effective to me. I didn't particularly care for her.
I'm sorry
honestly.
He said that, Mrs. Holcomb. I'm sorry. I apologize for him. He doesn't know what he's talking about.
But each person has their ones that they latch onto. That's what they have. Everybody has that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But regardless of that.
The attention of one teacher has the potential to teach better?
No, that's not what I said at all. You're not letting me get there. That's the first aspect, is you can find one that you prefer and you recognize it and see it. Second of all, you get taught different ways from different teachers, different aspects, so you get to see different abilities. Third of all, the school system does place you where you're supposed to be by testing you and seeing where you're supposed to be. So you're in a classroom with 30 people, typically by high school. I'm not talking elementary school, but by high school, we're in a classroom with, algebra kids, not applied math kids. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that gives you that benefit of so you act like it's not individualized, but when you have 20, 30 classrooms and you specifically set one for the 30 that are at the best at this or the best at that, I think that you are catering to their needs to some degree. Now, I'm not saying it's perfect. I don't mean to say that. I definitely ain't going to say the education system's perfect, and I'm not trying to argue that. But to say blow up testing and blow up standards and blow up, to me, I you know what I loved when we did it in school, and it happened we were like the first, I think we were the first group that came through. Do you remember we had to do what were those tests? What were the tests?
Yeah, we had to take them tests within a certain amount of time.
We had to do them in high school, and your grade depended on that period. What was that called? What the hell was that called?
I remember taking tests like that, but I don't. Right? Maybe I just didn't care enough to let the pressure get the best.
No, there was a test. They put it. We were the first. I think we were like it was. They brought them to Ohio when we were here, and I can't remember what they're called now. I thought, was it aptitude test? No, it wasn't aptitude test. No, it wasn't aptitude test.
They do that now, though, right?
I think they do, but they're very different than when we did them. But I loved them. I thought it was great. Because the bottom line was with those, essentially you could do no homework, none of your work all year, and if you aced those tests, you moved on, period. That was they brought that in when we were in high school.
I don't remember that.
I can't remember what they were called, though. I'll have to look into it and see what they were called.
I don't remember that. No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, that came in, and you had to graduate. You had to pass those tests and I'm not saying if you didn't do all your homework that you wouldn't, get a lower grade. But your homework and your schoolwork and test accounted for a percentage. But as long as you passed those tests, I can't remember what they were called.
I mean, that sounds like college to me. I'm down for that, man. I spent most of my time in the field house playing basketball.
I liked it. I mean, I'm not saying. Don't get me wrong. Don't think I'm arguing for the school system the way it is.
It sounds. And
I'm certainly not arguing for like for you to call kids LT.
No,
I'm not arguing for that. That's not what I mean,
man.
But what I
do
mean
is stop labeling kids.
Is when you see that you deal with it. Without even telling them that you're dealing with it, maybe you.
I think
you put them in a different class and they don't even know it.
I think my passion exists there for the kids that, I believe that if you can put confidence in a kid early, you can see the best of what that kid has to offer for the rest of his life.
What if he's an idiot?
Well, that doesn't matter.
And then he's walking around confidently.
Well, that doesn't matter.
Messing up everything.
I mean, I was an idiot. You must admit you were an idiot as well.
But if you're confidently messing up everything.
No, I mean, it doesn't mean that you won't get checked.
I'm just saying confidence comes to you as an adult because that's when you're supposed to get it.
No.
When you actually have some knowledge.
No.
If you have confidence without knowledge, that's dangerous.
I'm not saying you don't have to hit, you don't have to develop. I'm just suggesting that there was a lot of times in my life and a lot of opportunities I know I missed because I didn't believe I belonged there. A lot of opportunities I know I missed because I didn't believe I belonged there. I was insecure.
I thought you were religious, though.
I was. I'm not at an early age. I wasn't.
But don't you believe you're where you are now because that's where God wants
I believe
you to
that
be?
I believe that there are many routes that could have gotten me there way earlier. I could have, the destiny and purpose is.
But would you still
on somebody's life is dependent upon the trust they put in Christ. Not.
But you don't have the same
experiences to draw from the well. But
I mean, there's a reason God put you there.
Why would I have to go through that? I think God's smart enough to give me that without having to make me go around that.
That's the real question in life, isn't it? Why do you make me go through this?
That is beyond my ability.
My thing is, I've always said, God will never hand you more than you.
That is a lie.
Handle.
God will give you a whole lot more than you are capable of handling.
I don't believe that at all.
100%.
No, he will not.
100%. Because you don't know. If it were up to you, you wouldn't know what you could handle. You think 60 pounds, that's more than I can handle. And God's like, no, you don't even know what you can handle.
Right.
I'll show you what you can handle.
Right, but he's not going to give you more than that.
To suggest that, God's not going to put more on me than I can handle. God will break you in order to restore you. He did that.
That's okay.
What you can carry
But you can handle it.
But you don't know you can handle it. And
You don't know it, but he does.
Every time I hear somebody say that, I'm like, don't say that, because, man, you're about to go through something that is just going to
It's the way it is, dude. It's
the living daylights out of you.
That's okay, as long as you know that that
you're down for that. I realize that.
Yeah.
But most people don't even understand what they're saying when they say
I look at that
God will put a whole lot on you.
Like my wife, she can't handle a lot. She can't. Dylan, he was sleeping 2 weeks in 12-hour nights. Straight A student, does exactly what he's supposed to do. Super smart.
All right.
She's petty. Like, the last thing that would happen was, like, for him to have my attitude when I was a kid, like, that clash would not work. You know what I'm saying? She's not that person. You know what I mean? God's not going to give her more than that. He knows that's what she can handle, is Dylan. You know what I'm saying? I believe that. I've seen it. And Alexa will test me all the way to the top.
I mean, I'll get really real
Now,
with you. I'll get really real with you. I'll get real with you.
What's that?
She
told me I had ADHD the other day.
Stop saying that. You're going to ruin my man's confidence. Well, one more thing before I get real. I want to say, this, like, on the confidence part of it. There is a reason, okay? There is a reason Eli Manning played in the NFL.
Yes.
He wasn't that good. He was okay, but he wasn't Peyton Manning.
Okay.
He wasn't his father. But you know what confidence did for him? It told him he deserved an opportunity to be in that room. Yeah.
The lack of confidence did.
No. His confidence. His dad did it.
Agree with that.
His brothers did it. Yeah, 100%. Look at T.J. Watt. Look. I know this is
true. Trying to prove something. Why do you think Michael Jordan was who he was? He was trying to be as good as his brother.
That's true. That's true.
You lacked confidence.
That's true. You didn't get there. You weren't as good as they said you were, and so you had to prove that. That's why I went to college. I didn't even want to go to college. I only went to college because the guidance counselor in Clearview told me I wasn't smart enough to go to college. So I'm like, I'm going to college, and you know what I mean? So I went. But there's something to be said about going to the combines. I did this with my son, and I didn't go play college football. And there's a part of me that always wishes I would have. Like, man, I should have went.
I actually got offered to go.
I should have
play
went
for like a small college. I forget what was it in Athens.
Yeah, I went.
They wanted me to go play. They like talked to me at like when I was 19. I got that offer, and I'm just like. I was scared of it, honestly.
I was scared of it
the
too.
Books.
I was scared of
the books.
I was scared of the experience because I had no exposure to it. And then when my son Jeremiah, he's in college, he's in high school, he's going to, he's on a really successful program over in Avon. They went to state, and I remember as a sophomore, I was taking him across state lines to go to these combines because. He was just like, I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna expose him to such greatness that when he walks into a high school locker room, he's confident. He's confident. And so I exposed him. I took him around the country to these combines at sophomore, juniors. As a sophomore and a junior, he was being exposed to like an entire different stratosphere of playing. And so when he walked into high school locker rooms, it was over. He knew he had already been exposed to greatness. And by the exposure to greatness, his confidence level on the football field excelled. He was crazy. He was crazy. He went to state. They lost, but he went to state. Shout out to Mike Elder. They just won state. Avon just won state.
Yeah.
But that confidence that I saw in him was what I didn't have. And I was like, man, that's what I'm talking about for students,
that's
for
not
kids.
Confidence. That's a father. That's not a confidence. That's just having a father that pushes you.
That pushes you. Yeah.
Yeah. That's not confidence. That's a father that pushes you. And that's good. You need that too. I'm not saying
you walk into these rooms.
That's a good dad.
And you walk into these rooms.
That's a Fox News dad. That's a good dad.
And you already know, I got it.
Right.
I got it. And that's what I'm saying.
The
if you could put that, the earlier you put that in a kid, the better.
Alexa had that confidence, and she...
What?
She didn't make the tryout because she wasn't working very hard at it. She made it the next year because she worked her ass off to get back there.
Disappointment has a part in the equation as well.
But, I mean, confidence, I don't think it's confidence that does it. I think you're misguided on that. I think that the lack of confidence, because the reason that people work
failure. You're talking about failure. You're not talking about confidence.
No, I'm talking about working hard. I'm talking about you work hard because you work hard because you know you have to, because otherwise you're not going to be good enough. So that's where the lack of confidence is. I mean, that's, like I said, Jordan worked his ass off to be as good as his brother, was what the goal was. Mm-hmm. That was his goal.
Competition.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. But it was never a question in his mind whether or not he belonged there.
The only one that I know that had the confidence to be like King Dingaling to everybody was Larry Bird. Like, he just had it. Like, there was nobody he seemed like he was trying to measure up to. He just thought he was dominant. But, I mean, every one of their stories, not LeBron had the confidence too. I'll give you that. LeBron did have confidence too. But most of their stories, there's somebody they're trying to live up to. And Eli was trying to live up to Peyton. He was trying to live up to his dad.
But he knew he belonged there because he had been exposed to it his whole life. There was nothing you could say to him that would say, you're not going to the NFL. Going to the NFL. Even
he knew he had to work hard to get there.
You're not that good, but you're not as good as your brother. So there's competition, and you're going to have to work hard. But the confidence to say I belong in the room, that's a game changer. It's a game changer for anyone, for all of us. I'm just more confident in certain areas than I am in other areas. But once I walk into those other areas, once I become familiar with it, and I have a couple wins in it, suddenly now I know I can dominate that area equally.
And we started this episode out talking about serving.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing. Like I said, it's not chaos when I'm out there. Now I can just do it.
Now you can do it.
But when I first walked there, I'm going, oh, what do I do? What do I do? You know what I mean? You're trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
And I get that. I get that. That is the same thing, I guess.
I forgot what I was going to say. I was going to talk about. What was the other thing we were talking about? I was going to.
Education, confidence.
Well,
like they're taking the confidence away from them.
I don't even know why I was going to share that. I was going to share my wife and I had 3 miscarriages. And
you had 3 miscarriages?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I didn't know that. That's horrible.
Yeah, she died. She died in the hospital because of the complications of the one. And I remember, so I remember like going through that time period, and my confidence was shook. Man, I was just like, God must hate me. I must be cursed. I'm doing everything wrong. I remember like my confidence.
Oh, God giving you more than you can handle.
Yeah. And it was so overwhelming. And the narrative in my mind began to become like, I'm cursed. I remember like, I must be cursed. I must have earned this. I must deserve this pain that I'm going through. And it was just overwhelming. It was crushing. I mean, it was everything I could do just to fight. And I mean, mind you, I still have to get up and preach sermons.
Yeah.
I have to like give people counsel. I have to still lead a staff. I have to keep doing all of the things.
Are you questioning God at this point?
Oh my God. Well, I never questioned the existence of God. I began to question the love of God in my life. I began to question like, oh my, I must have done something that has earned me displeasure to him and taken me out of his favor. I remember thinking.
And you think of all your sins you've done.
Everything, man. Like everything from a kid. Like I began to I'm sure. Everything I did in my entire life is why I'm going through this. And I just remember struggling for years. For years, it was a private struggle of like, God, like, does God love me, or does God, like, is he reject me, and
do you feel like he had a reason now?
No, I remember I don't remember the exact time or day, but I remember the season. I remember the season of like where God just began to speak to me and like, no, like, I've never left you. And then I heard this story the other day. It was awesome. It was awesome. It was about this father whose son was about to become of age, and so he takes his son, who's like 12, right? He's coming of age, and he's like, all right, well, it's time for you to spend a night in the wilderness alone.
At 12?
At 12 years old. And so he takes him out, and they walk like way into the woods, and he sets up his tent, and he's like, all right, I'll see you in the morning. And it's dark by then, and the kid just climbs in the tent, and he's just like, there in the middle of the darkness, in the middle of the night, his father's gone, and he's in the middle of the night, and you can hear, he just can't sleep, and he's just wrestling, like he's afraid. You know, he's full of fear. You know, but then he feels like, oh, it's becoming daylight. You know, so all night long he was afraid, and so he the daylight breaks. He opens the tent, and he gets out and he looks down about 50 yards away. His father was right there sitting in a chair, and he was like, "When'd you get there?" And he said, "I never left. I've been here the whole time."
Yeah.
Just because it got dark doesn't mean I wasn't there. And that's kind of what I felt, you know, when I went through that. Just because I heard God say, just because it got dark didn't mean I wasn't with you.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm with you. You've never lost your favor. There's nothing you could have ever done to earn it. There's nothing you could ever do to give it away.
You question reason, though, and I get that.
Man,
you do, but there is a reason. Usually, there's always a reason. There's not, but it's not up to us to question.
When I think about, like, God will never put more on you, man, there's no way. There's no way. My wife died, literally died on the table. I'm standing over top of her for 15 seconds. That little machine just cried out to God. God, no. I go, Jesus, and Becca, wake up. Jesus, Becca, wake up.
Wow.
And I'm screaming top of my lungs. Top of my lungs, I'm screaming in the room. It's chaos everywhere. And then one last time, I said, Jesus. And I looked back down, and my wife said, why are you screaming? She woke back up.
Maybe she just had sleep apnea.
I don't know. She was dead. She says that, too. I'm like, girl, you were dead. She was like, I was not dead. I'm like, yes, you were dead.
My wife says that it's like sometimes I don't breathe for over 40 seconds.
Like at night, you're sleeping? Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she says.
Yeah, I don't know what that's about, man.
Sleep apnea, they say.
I had a good friend that died from that.
From sleep apnea?
Yeah. Scotty Poprock, dude. I worked with him at the city, and he had that. Man, he was severely overweight, and he smoked cigars, brushed his teeth with a cigar and all that, you know. And one night he just didn't make it out of his dreams.
Yeah, they say it's not good for you, that's for sure.
No.
But yeah, she says I go pretty long without breathing on occasion.
Why?
Always when I'm heavier, though. When I'm heavier, it happens more.
Yeah, I can feel that too.
The more I thin down, the less when I start getting thin, I don't even snore or anything, you know.
Yeah, that's for sure. That's for sure.
I'm just out of shape.
I'm on a fast right now, so I'm fasting, and but I'm getting ready to go on this cruise. I'm like, I'm doing so good, you know.
And they give you all the seafood and everything, right?
Oh yeah, but I'm just gonna be normal. I'm not gonna be a glutton. I'm just gonna be a normal. I'm gonna eat the same thing every day. You know, I might have some French toast. I love French toast.
I do too.
So I may have some French toast, but other than that, I think I'm just gonna be normal.
I used to try to make it when I was a kid. You know, I just took bread, put egg on it.
It's not the same.
And I'm like, this is not good. And then I went over to a friend's house. Actually, it was Matt Vidovich's house.
Oh, yeah?
Actually.
He taught you how to make...
Yeah, he's making it up. He's throwing cinnamon and sugar in the egg. And I'm like, okay, all right, wait a minute.
Yeah, cinnamon and sugar. Okay.
Yeah, you put it in the egg.
I didn't know that.
You whip it up with the milk, and then you do the bread. Dude, it's phenomenal. You don't need to go anywhere else.
I think the bread matters, too, right? You got to have some good
I don't
bread.
think so. I don't think
the
it
better
matters.
The bread, though. Oh.
Maybe. It might help a little bit. But that when I watched him do that, I didn't know. I thought we're just put
changed
egg
your
on
life.
I had no clue you mix other things into the egg. I didn't know.
Are you a big resolution dude? Like
no, not really. Not so much. I mean, you know what I am? I'm a quietly to myself. You know what I want to do this year for myself?
Interesting.
You know what I mean? But
what?
Well, what? Now you're telling me that's not quietly? Doesn't sit?
No, what?
This year, what my goals are? I want to get my financially stronger this year, and I want to put an addition on this bar over here to the side.
Amen.
That's my goals for the year. I wouldn't call them a resolution, but that's
I don't believe in resolutions. I don't believe in resolutions.
But I do like to set a standard, a goal. I
think you got to put something on the horizon to go at.
Yeah.
But I want to. I think I want my character to match my promise. So I'm going to work on my character, and then I won't worry about the promise. God will give me the promise. I'm just going to make myself better.
I like that because you got demons you talk about, and I'm like, it's weird. I don't get where those come from.
Yeah, because you just. I mean, I'm aware of the nature of my nature.
Yeah,
you know, I live with a very clear awareness of darkness.
Yeah,
like it's so real. Darkness is real, and the nature of man is not good. it's absolutely.
There's a lot of good
evil.
people, though. There are a lot of good people.
Yeah.
A lot of them. A lot of them are just sheeps to you.
I'm curious.
In your mind.
I'm curious what makes a person good.
In my opinion,
Yeah.
In my opinion, is first honesty. Is you know, honesty is always number one, and putting other people before yourself. And I think those two things become your good at that point. If you have both of those in you, if you're honest with yourself, honest with other people, and you put other people before you, I think that you'll
That's pretty good.
I think that makes you a good person. I think
you're
there's
close.
more people out there like that than you think. I do believe that. I believe that, you know, it may look sometimes like people, you know, are greedy and they take, and there are clearly, they're called the top 1% for a reason, for the most part. I mean that's the people that are greedy, and there's a lot of people out there that do without for other people to do, and those people that are, you know, that they do for probably don't even realize it. They think maybe they have more than they had to offer, and they offered it anyway.
I think it's Carl Jung that talks about. I think it's him, but he talks about the shadow, like living with this awareness of your shadow, and you can't even discover the good until you have an understanding of the shadow that you cast. That there is this darkness that is in with. We all have a shadow. We all have this shadow.
Absolutely.
And there is this darkness that until you surrender that darkness, you'll have you may offer a few moments of good, but until that darkness is surrendered, I think.
I'm gonna pause you for 1 second. Well, I'm not pausing you. You keep going.
Oh.
I can hear you.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
We're gonna do like we did last.
Yeah, the shadow. I think most of us don't live. We live too confident in what we have defined as good, and there's a darkness that the Bible talks to us about. That no man is good. There was a situation where they came to Jesus and said, you know, they began to define what good was, and he says, "There's none good. There is none. There's a shadow in all of us, and there is darkness in all of us, and until that shadow is surrendered, good is elusive. Good is not what we think it is." And so when Jim talks about that, I just go, nah. I'm aware of the darkness that's in my thoughts and my.
So if you're finding yourself aware of your shadow,
Mm-hmm.
and then we all have a shadow, and by that you mean,
And there's darkness.
I want to say it's like a desire.
Mm-hmm.
Is that kind of what you're talking
Sure,
about? Like
yeah.
a desire, and it's a sinful desire, obviously. Okay. And you're saying you want to match what you want to be rather than what you actually desire. Is that kind of, or no? Am I missing that?
No, I that's what being born again is. It is this. This death, burial, and resurrection of a life, and the old man stays in the tomb, and the new man emerges in Christ. That's what baptism is. That's the significance of water baptism. It represents.
So then, how come you do it when you're a kid and you don't even realize that's why you're doing it? You're
Yeah,
just
I think you should do it. I think you
to.
should do it.
Because I just feel
a
like
lot.
you're accepting yourself as, you're accepting Christ as your Savior.
Yeah.
And that's what as a kid, when I got baptized, that's what I thought it was, or thought of it.
Yeah, but to suggest that there is good,
Even though you could do that without baptism.
there is good without the death of the old self.
Yeah, it's like washing away your sins or something.
Yeah, it's the death of sin, and I'm no longer a slave to my sin. I've been born again, brand new, and the old me is dead. I left him in the grave. The water, he stays there. I emerge out of the water, cleansed in the righteousness of Christ. And the old life is gone, and the new life, and the life I now live is a life in Christ. But I'm never not aware of the nature, the sinful nature of the old man. That Jacob, even though God's changed my name from Jacob to Israel, an Old Testament reference, God changes Jacob's name. You no longer shall be called Jacob, but now Israel. Even though he's changed my name, I'm still acutely aware of the darkness that God rescued me from. And it is that awareness that keeps me humble, that keeps me empathetic even to those who wrestle with their darkness. It keeps me sympathetic. Like I'm like, I'm not detached from the darkness. I realize what lies in man that they need rescued from. And
what do you think is the overall biggest sin? Not sin, but darkness in man. Which is a sin, but you know what I'm saying.
The darkness. The thing that I think is...
Is it want?
It's pride.
Pride?
Yeah.
More than want? Probably.
Pride.
A lot of times you only want for pride. Yeah, you're probably right.
It's pride. I think it's a lot of pride. And power. I think power is... We confuse a lot of the things in our life and for control, power. Like you don't really know a person until you see them with a little bit of authority. Then you'll know the true nature of people. Don't take stuff away from them. Give them everything. And I think you can even see that in society unfold today. Like you saw evil in people of power.
Oh God!
Yeah. Because it wasn't. It didn't manifest until they had everything.
Speaking of which, what about Biden? With what's like he's putting all these laws, no oil drilling, like trying to sell the fence. Like it's like he's literally like, I know that the American people have voted and said this isn't what they want.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna
He's going to try to make it hard, but if he can do it through that means, then so can the other guy.
He can undo it just the same. It's just why? What's the point in that? It's like, is it so he can get credit pride, that he did it?
Well,
or
it's
something?
Pride because you reject this notion that people didn't accept your leadership, and your
bizarre.
policies. Yeah.
But going back to that, we said we'd get back on another subject. I said that we'll talk about that in a minute. Was Zuckerberg? You haven't seen it? So Zuckerberg released a statement this morning, and it's on all social platforms. It's even on Twitter and all that. It's everywhere. He released a statement stating basically that he is going to go away from changing algorithms, from talking about politics. He's going to go away from all those things. He's going to put a community board the same as X is doing. Like X has a community
Just freedom
board.
of speech, you mean?
He's giving it back. He's saying he is not going to. He feels that, and all this, and what he's talking
good for
about.
him. He
did. He is doing the right thing for sure. But in all of that, he's also moving his headquarters, the headquartered people that are in control of any censorship that's going to happen, to Texas and out of California.
Well, he'd have to in order because he'd get blasted.
Well, because he doesn't want all the censoring. He goes, the problem is with the censoring is that they are censoring based on their political beliefs or whatever you want to call it, or wherever they stand, they're being biased, essentially.
Sure.
So he's getting rid of all of it. And they're going to move more to the community boards. Like X has the community boards, which I haven't gotten involved in a whole lot, but I guess there's community boards that...
What's a community board? What do you mean?
I guess I haven't gotten involved enough in it to know.
In X?
In X, there are community boards. Twitter.
Yeah, well, I mean, I have a Twitter account, or an X account, but
there's community boards now. So if somebody posts something that's false, community boards allow you guys to go discuss it, whether it's false or not, or you know what I mean. It doesn't just blatantly say this is false. You see what I'm saying? There's like a community board discussion on that topic. You know what I'm saying? And Facebook's going to move to that platform.
Or just have a discussion. Yeah, okay. Well, that's called freedom of speech.
Freedom of speech. Absolutely.
That's what we're doing here.
And he is agreeing that's what he needs, because he basically said that he was, algorithms were, basically keeping political.
He admitted it. Then he kind of
political comments and videos and posts from getting put out there. He basically said it today that he's going to move it that where you can see that you're going to start to see more political posts. And he acts like it's something it'll roll out. But it sounded like within a month we'll have it all right there.
Isn't it strange how the whole world's everything's shifting now?
Yeah.
Back to freedom and normalcy, it seems like just like at least just rational.
Somewhat.
Behavior.
Yeah.
It just seems normal. It's like, okay, we're no longer going to do the whole,
inclusion and
DEI
and all that stuff was it's wild.
Trans with kids, and we're gonna put an end to all that.
I feel
it was
like
a test.
I feel like
let's go back to
that we just reached a generation for some reason that decided that. I feel like they've always pushed that. If that was your agenda, transgenders or
they let you go ahead if that's what you want to do.
Pushing at it, they were always pushing at it. But I feel like we reached a generation that were just like, yeah, they're right. We should do that for them. You know what I mean? Instead of we're okay with whatever you're doing, but we're not changing the rules for you. You know what I mean?
Right. You don't get to define.
Right. And I guess that's part of what sticks with me when you say that we don't want to have standards and things like that. It's like, you have to have standards. There has to be something to measure you to. And again, it goes to the kid that is in tag. Is tag even a thing anymore?
Tag, I don't even know what that is, but.
You don't remember tag?
No.
Talented and gifted.
Talented and gifted. Oh.
You remember that?
Oh,
you don't remember
these are the talented and gifted students.
You don't remember that?
No, but you saying it sounds very icky. You saying it really, these are the talented and gifted students.
You don't remember the tag programs when we were kids?
The dumb and stupid.
But what I'm saying is when you don't,
you're the DAS,
when somebody
these are the tabs.
When somebody is, in our day it was called tag. I don't know that it's called that anymore. But if you have somebody that's it,
I didn't remember
and you don't boost them to that level, and that helps their confidence get.
Where are all of those people at today? They should be running society.
Well, what was her name? Denise was one of them.
You call it names, man. She
remember the van?
Society.
You know the van, isn't it? Denise, wasn't that her name?
I don't know.
The Christmas light van. You got to know what I'm talking about.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Yes, you do.
I don't even know about what.
You don't remember the Christmas light van?
Christmas lights van.
How can you not remember that?
I don't know. I guess I had
every day at Clearview rolling up Durling. The van with all the Christmas lights on it all the time.
Yes. I know.
What was her name?
About. I'm not saying.
You know who it is.
I know exactly who it is.
She was in tag.
Yes,
she was highly intelligent.
There's a whole bunch of people like that in that. That group.
She was a highly intelligent person.
Where's Chip at? Chip was in there, wasn't he?
Was he? Possibly.
Oh yeah, Chip was. Dude was. He was smart. He was just naturally smart, man. I'm like,
I never knew.
Chip.
I always was like, does he look smart? Because he just had that look.
Who was the valedictorian? His name was Shannon. Shannon's crushing the game right now.
Yeah.
Shannon Sulweski. Shannon.
Okay, but either way.
He's leads. He has a company. He does very good.
And the one in the van, I think it was Denise for some reason.
Her name was Michelle Scott.
Michelle, that's it. Michelle. She's killing it probably, right?
I don't know.
I would assume.
I don't know.
She had a sister named Denise.
She did.
That's who I'm thinking of.
Yeah. They had a whole family.
Yeah, there was a bunch of them.
They were all smart.
And they were all very smart.
All smart.
Very, very smart.
They should by
But they thought outside the box.
No, I think they mastered the box.
No, they thought outside the box.
That's where we're different. See, that's where freedom of speech is giving us. I think they just mastered their box.
I think they thought outside the box. Otherwise, they wouldn't have rolled up with Christmas lights on their van.
No, you might have a point there.
You roll up with Christmas lights on the van.
Listen,
You're thinking different than everyone else.
At least your parents are. I don't know how much you had to do with that decision.
They're doing that now everywhere. Everybody's starting to do that. Did you see that?
Yeah,
they have the where they're sticking on them or something.
That's got to be bad for your paint job.
That's what I think, too. I'm thinking the same thing.
These cars cost too much money to be out here messing with the paint.
That's what I'm looking at going, what are you doing?
That is so bad. Like, not done. Every time I see one, I'm like, you are a grown man. Stop it. Like, this is not okay,
But, yeah, they were in tag. I don't know that Chip was, though, honestly.
Dude, he was the second guy. He was the second smartest guy.
Well, maybe, but I wasn't there for high school with you guys.
Yeah,
I was more elementary and junior.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was Shannon and then Chip and then, like, this one girl. But I could be wrong. Because, they didn't let me talk at the thing, so it was all the smart people that got to talk, not the dummies.
Yeah.
We just had to listen to the smart people say things.
Yeah, well,
I did.
It happened.
You were a genius. I was
not even there.
I was eating crayons.
I wasn't even at the program.
I wasn't even trying to be like. I'm just like, man, look, I don't even like the whole system. The whole system is done.
All I want is the video of me and Calvin when we did the talent show.
I want that as well.
How do I get that?
You see what I'm saying?
That's what I want.
That's what we need.
Dude, that would be gold right now.
Somebody's got to have it, right?
I would think they filmed
had to
it all.
Recorded it.
I seen it before. I've seen the tape. It was on a VHS.
Oh, somebody's got it then. We got to see it.
Yeah, I want that tape.
What was the program that you guys did? What did you guys?
It was a talent show, but me and him were the announcers.
Oh, so you were the MCs.
But if you remember, me and Calvin write a rap in between each program.
Get out of here.
And we wrap the person in. And so the introduction is a rap.
I do want to see this.
I do too.
I definitely want to see this.
I can't even imagine what my mind was like back then.
How come that didn't get? Like, that should have earned you the right to say something at the graduation ceremony. Like, remember that time we did raps?
Yeah, me and Calvin did it. It was hilarious. Back when we were close. Back in the day. And then, I don't know. Yeah, that's the one I want. But anyways, I think that the system's okay.
Well, we have concluded.
To some degree.
I do agree that
it needs some work.
And that's good because we got some people that are going to fix it.
But we do need a measuring stick for the kids. If you don't have a measuring stick, you don't know where they're at.
Okay. I will succeed. You do need...
I don't think that you call them retarded once they don't get to the measuring stick.
or
any word that would make them feel that way. Or any word that would make them feel that way. No, I think talented and gifted is okay.
You think that's okay?
God, I had no issue with, keep saying Michelle, or Denise. But I had no problem that Chip and Denise were smarter than me. I had no problem with that.
No.
I had no issue. Thank God.
Well, I did have a problem. I did have a problem. However, with you telling me that I wasn't smart.
Yeah, but Chip dressed the part too. Like, he looked smart. Like, he kind of looked like, in 7th grade, he looked like Sheldon. Let's be honest. Didn't he? I mean, he was cool. He was one of our friends. But he just always looked like he was smarter.
Yeah, he was Chip.
Yeah,
he was Chip.
Yeah, he was always. I mean, he looked the part. I just never minded thinking he was smarter than me.
I would never have
thinking
a problem.
Michelle was smarter than me.
That is not what I'm suggesting.
Anybody that I could think that was in the tag program.
You earned it, homie. You earned the little things. Like,
and
good for you.
I didn't feel like I did. I felt like they worked harder than I did too.
What I don't like about it was that there was a system that said because I didn't jump through and perform, then I was...
There's a word for that.
What's the word for it?
Work. You didn't do the work that they did.
I didn't do the work that they did. But...
I think that at some point you have to stop thinking... Honestly, this is my opinion, and I'm not a psychologist. I didn't go to college. I didn't do anything. Okay. But I think at some point,
I think I'm being a victim.
Yeah, you got to stop thinking that they did something to you when you just didn't do the work.
I love the experience that I had, and I know that the experience I had created what I became.
Right. But you know for a fact that you did not put the work in that Michelle
wasn't interested, bro.
And Chip did.
I was not interested.
Or Shannon. We did not put that work in.
I saw school as a social activity. That's the only reason I came.
Yes.
I did not come to learn. I came to hang out with my boys.
Yes, I
That's
agree.
the only reason I went to school. And play football. I loved playing football, and I loved hanging out with my guys, having a good time.
And the school did not shorten you either way.
Stuff I
you did
tolerated.
not put work in there.
The other
you
stuff
put
I
work
tolerated.
into football.
But what
you put work into the friendships.
That's
you
right.
didn't put work into school.
No, that's not true. Well, I did at one point. I was like, okay, I'll play the game. And I played the game.
You worked hard enough because you didn't want to be the dumb kid amongst your peers.
No, they told me that I was too stupid to go to college.
Yeah, that was.
They literally said
that's not the school system. That's an idiot counselor.
Either way, I was like, all right, I'm gonna go to college and watch what I do. I had a semester and a half. I had my junior year and the rest of my senior year. And for the rest of the time, I was on the honor roll. I was like, all right, I'll show you. I'll show you that I can play the game of conforming to the. But my disappointment in the system was the fact that, like, you made me, not me personally, because I didn't care. I just didn't care. Like, I just kind of knew that didn't matter what happened. I was going to get out of this phase, and I was going to go into the next phase, and that's when life really began. And this phase was just for me to use. But what was shocking was the lack of cerebral awareness on behalf of the people that are running this school. It's supposed to be educating students. What was shocking was that they didn't realize the potential of hundreds of students that were going by them.
But you didn't care either.
I didn't care. But I
didn't care. In fact, I'll argue this. I'll argue that maybe that counselor did the best thing he could have done for you.
He might have. I think what he said definitely inspired me. Like, okay,
maybe he realized this is a kid that's competitive.
It's
possible.
My professor in psychology did that to me on the first day of class.
Really?
We walk in. I'm a freshman. Walk in, and we all sit where we sit. Well, of course, I chose the seat I chose not for the reasons of education,
correct,
but I chose. You know why I chose the seat.
I know exactly.
You know what I mean? I chose that seat. You know what I mean? I chose that seat. All right. So I chose that seat. And the professor walks in and he says, "All right, I'm going to hand out the grades today." And he goes through the class and he starts handing out grades. And then he gets to me and he's like, "You are going to get a D-." And I was like, what the? And it was all psychology. It was all psychology. All he was trying to do was get me, "Hey, pay attention, dummy. I see what you're doing." That's all he was doing. He was just like, "Hey, dummy, I know why you did what you did. I know why you're sitting. I just want you to pay attention." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And even in that, even when I knew what he was doing, I'm still like, I got to get a good grade in here. I got to get a good grade in here.
You're a competitive person.
I got to get a good grade in here. I can't have this dude telling everybody I'm going to get a D- and I'm going to take this. It's like, I got to get a good grade in here. You know what I mean?
So I don't think the system is as broken as you think
the system is broken, though.
I mean, it has
I was getting ready to go there.
Bad issues, for sure.
The system is broken, and the reason I see the system is broken is because it failed my child right now. And I'm 50, and I got a 7-year-old. And the 7-year-old's going through, and I really, my heart breaks, honestly, for kids from the inner city who are in classrooms, and it's nearly impossible for them to learn in the classroom. And this is really where my compassion comes to this week, because they because of a set of circumstances that you and I are both really familiar with. Poverty does a whole thing, right?
Absolutely.
And it puts you in a certain demographic, and that demographic sets you at a disadvantage for the rest of your life. Harder for you to learn, harder for you to reach the standards, because your basic needs aren't being met. And that's what I see in the system. And so the system's teaching the class, but it's not teaching the kid. And I'm here as an advocate. Teach the kid. Forget the class. Take all these things away and see the value of the kid. Because I look at my kid, I look at my little boy, who's 7, going to be 8 here in about 10 days, and I'm like, he has incredible potential. But he went to the Avon school system. Sorry, Avon. He went there, and every day they'd call me and send him home.
Really?
Yeah, he'd call me and they'd send him home. Why? He's aggressive. He's this. He's that. He's combative. He won't sit down. Of course, he won't sit down. He's insecure. He was born on drugs. He came into the world disadvantaged. Like he's fighting for his own survival, and he's scared in your classroom. And instead of teaching that kid and making that kid feel safe and feel nurtured and be and I'm not like, but I'm saying if we're going to teach kids in that classrooms, then you got to see him as.
I feel like maybe you should bust his ass.
No, man, not him.
Maybe.
Nope. No,
maybe that's all he understands.
I yelled. I raised my voice the other day, dude. This is terrible. I raised my voice to him. He pees himself. He's hurt. He needs to feel safe. You know what I mean?
I get it.
And we homeschool him because we realize his needs. And maybe one day we'll be like, okay, go to school.
But the problem is if you coddle him forever.
He's not being coddled, bro. I don't coddle that kid.
But I mean, when
I'm 50, so I've learned. I get it.
But you see what I'm saying?
Like I coddled my other kids. Jeremiah, Precious, Tristan, Caleb. Yeah, I overcompensated in them because I felt like I was such a sucky dad that, like, I got to buy you everything. I got to absorb all the pain in your life because I was struggling with those things in my life, but not this one. This one's like, no, I have very much clarity as I raise him. Like, dang it, I should go back and raise my other kids with this kind of comprehension. But it's
that's
different.
How my mom would have been. Like, I would have been like in school, combative, and I would have came home and got my ass beat. Yeah. So when I went to school the next day, I'd have sat in a chair.
You didn't do that, yeah.
And and maybe I'm wrong. I don't want to. I'm not trying to downgrade your. But sometimes, a lot of times, when you see somebody that's hurt like that, and you do, it is the natural thing to just really want to coddle. I mean, I can understand it. I understand it, but sometimes what they need.
Yeah, he gets both.
Is to be told you're too stupid to go to college. Sometimes that's what you need. I mean, it honestly is. Yeah, sometimes it is. It really is. Sadly, it is.
I think I survived it.
Because that's what I'm saying. You're natural. You were going to anyways.
I survived it. But like when I look back at kids today, I'm like, the beast is going to devour you. Like there's this. It's just look, man. It's a different time. You go down to the inner city. It's different, man. I was with some kids the other day. They smelled like a litter box. I mean, I could barely stand to be next to them. I'm holding back.
I worked in CMHA housing before for a long time, and there was a couple. There was one of them that I did specifically, but there was a couple of them that I did while they were living there, and some of their living conditions are, and it's not the housing's problem. It's the parents that aren't.
No doubt.
They're not keeping them up. They're not. No doubt. Yeah, it's bad. Some of them are. Because when I grew up, I had a black stepdad. All his family were black. We would go over there. They were all at welfare, project housing, things. It didn't stink in our house. I mean, it might have smelled like chitlins or something, but I mean, it didn't stink like that. Like not that like dirty. Like, and some of them are really. Unfortunately, drugs have taken over so bad, and I honestly don't know how you fix that. I'm going through redoing the menu right now at the restaurant, and I'm trying to get, I don't like to be in denial, but the sales are down. I mean, the sales are big, and food sales are really down, and they're really not doing what they used to do, and I'm trying to figure it out. So I'm looking at everything I could possibly come up with, and what I've come up with, and it's a sad realization, is that I don't think this next generation is going out to the bar and hanging out with each other. They're playing video games, smoking pot, and ordering DoorDash. Oh. And I think that's a truth that it's a truth that I've had to accept.
So how do you pivot?
I think what I do is I design my menu to DoorDash and Grubhub. I think
that's a good idea.
That's where I'm doing. I'm shifting for that. I'm going to make that position.
Dude, that's brilliant.
And then the next move would be to try and get date night stuff like we were talking and events and stuff like that.
Comic.
Event centers, things like that, where maybe we would provide a better dinner environment or date night environment at that point. But yeah, I think that's my shift is going to have to. foods that'll travel.
Man,
well.
I think you definitely just diagnosed.
I think so. I think the next generation, and I think probably since COVID, has probably made it worse than it ever was.
Well, it normalized it.
Yeah.
The sedentary lifestyle, just
and people don't
stay
seem to
at
mind
home.
paying extra money to have it door dashed and
Just kind of weird, right? Like,
and they don't drink like they did now.
I've
now
noticed
that
that.
pot is legal, it's like weed is. And you're a bike rider, so you like me. You know when you're driving, when
that's
you're
all
on
you
the
smell.
bike.
That's all you smell.
Yeah, you don't smell fresh air. You smell weed.
Smell weed.
Unless you get out in the country. I mean, that's all you smell is weed. I mean,
that's where they're growing it, you know. Yeah.
But I mean, you people don't. I don't know if people that don't ride motorcycles realize, but if you take Route 2 from here to the east side to Willoughby, you will smell pot the whole time. You will never not smell pot. You will smell it the whole time.
I was at the gun range last night.
You smelled it there?
Smelled it there. I'm like,
that's horrible.
Holy moly.
It's the way it is, though.
How are we here with firearms high?
Yeah.
Like, what is happening? I was just like looking around the whole time, like.
And they prefer it over drinking and socializing. They prefer that, like, probably, I would think that pot is a less social active drug. Not to say that people don't socialize while they go smoke a joint together or whatever.
I mean, I wouldn't know,
but I think
it seems like that would be. It seems like that would be very fun.
Well, they pass
social
joints and stuff. They do that, but I mean, I think that they like you said, you have smoked it, correct?
Mm-hmm, 3 times.
Okay, so when I was a kid, I smoked it too. When I smoked that
a long time ago, yes.
Yeah. I was very paranoid.
Yes, every time.
And I would assume that makes you want to be by yourself and not around people.
Oh, it definitely made me want to go home, man. I need a room. I need to be alone.
It's not a social
I am
thing,
exposed right now.
Right.
There is something, I didn't feel like, and I feel like.
But maybe people that smoke it all the time don't feel that way. My mom tells me, because my mom smokes pot.
Yeah, I've had other people tell me, like, no, man.
She tells me it's based on what you smoke.
It's great.
Different ones make you more because my mom would like smoking, like, clean the house, cook, go cut the grass, garden. I'm like, what the hell?
And
that's not who I am. I smoke.
Yeah. Whoa. I really feel like what has happened is like when you talk about having to make adjustments because of the generation that's coming behind you that's not going to do it. You just not go out and socialize and all that. You can see it.
Right.
You can see the desocialization of society.
And we've always seen it. We've seen it since the beginning of, like, probably since 2000, since chat rooms and all that. Then Facebook became a thing and MySpace and all that.
I just wasn't really aware of it until COVID.
But it was starting to happen already. But I think now it's like coming full. Like
now it's like people just live in the digital.
Yeah.
World.
Yeah, you watch the friends will come over and all they're on their devices, the kids.
I'm like, what are you? Like, we're all sitting in a room.
Yeah, and they're on
in our own room.
They'll send each other memes.
Yes, they'll be in the same room together. We played this game the other day with the family, with the kids. All kids come over to the house on Sunday, and we played this game where you have to what is it? You have to like guess who is who. You put these names in a basket, and you're like, okay, famous people, and you all pick a person, you throw it in, and then you got to guess who's who in the room without knowing. And if you guess, then you're on the same team. And then, so we start playing this game, and while we're playing the game, like, okay, oh, I know who you are. You guess it, then you got to whisper and tell me who you are, so nobody else knows. And so what I noticed was all the older people playing the game would get up, go across the room, and say, I'm so and so. And then
kids were texting.
Right. The younger people.
Way smarter.
I'm like, but you're supposed to strategize and exchange ideas with so you're supposed to go in the other room and then like strategize and have this conversation. None of that was happening. They were just like tick tick tick. That's it.
Yeah, and it's the way it works now.
You do. And what I notice is like dating. I watch how they date. I watch how they date today. It's sad. They ain't got no game, man. It's mud.
No, they don't have to.
No game.
No, they don't have to. By the time they meet up with somebody,
we had game by the 6th grade.
They had to. Well, they are out there shooting their shot to 300, and the one or two that
no risk
that like
at all.
their shot,
They kind of converse with them, find one, and go meet up with
No
them.
risk at all in that. No social interaction. No have to walk across the room cold. Hey, my name is Jim. What? None of that. No cleverness.
Nothing.
No
they got
risk.
Nothing.
Game is mud.
Yeah, there's no need for it anymore.
That's sad.
It is sad.
And then when they tell me, how'd you meet? Oh, we met on Tinder.
Yeah.
What? You met on Tinder? Oh my goodness, man! We had to go to nightclubs.
Uncle Vic's. That's why Uncle Vic's is gone. You don't need it no more.
Shark atmosphere in there, man.
Oh God, yeah.
It's like,
I couldn't imagine. Could you imagine what it must have been like to be a 21-year-old girl
you
at
had to be
Uncle
an apex
Vic's?
predator to have to walk in there. You couldn't be insecure. You had to have apex predator vibes.
Can
man.
you imagine though what it would have been like for a 21-year-old hottie that was in there when they were? I mean. They had to I don't know if they feared for their life or they were attention whores or what, but I mean, that had to have been a different situation for sure in Uncle Vic's back then.
Well, I feel like that was the social interaction that made you or broke you. You learned a lot from the walk of shame.
I was usually drunk by the time I got there. I don't know if my game was working or not. I don't know.
You would walk over there, you say something, and your boys would laugh at you, and then you'd have to come back across the room. You either had the number or you didn't. Yeah. I remember one time we were down in the flats, and this girl comes over to me, and it's like, and we start dancing, and then all of a sudden this guy comes out and throws her across the floor and squares up with me, and I'm like, who are you? But once again, social interaction, all right, don't square up on me. So I don't and then all of a sudden it just quits, and I'm like, what in the world just happened? My boys, I think I was there. I think I was with Skinner and Vidovich and I don't know who else.
Skinner.
Yeah, David Skinner.
Yeah, I know David Skinner.
Yeah, Dave. And we start walking away, and I reached down for my pager, and it's gone. I just got scammed.
They got you.
They got me. The girl came across the room, played me
for a pager. Did you beep?
I got made fun of all.
Dumb shit?
I got
Did you beep him some dumb shit?
No, I didn't have no. I'm done. There's no payphone down in the flats back then. Even he didn't get mugged or shot.
That's funny.
Yeah, good times.
Yeah, good times. All right, we went a while. We're 2 hours now.
Wow.
So we did a pretty good length for the beginning of the year.
Yeah.
Did you say you had goals for the year?
I don't make goals as much as I do growth. I just look for areas to grow in. I'm looking for growth.
Oh, that's what you did.
Yeah, so I want to grow, and there's this principle that I've held on to. I've kind of locked in on, and it's from Joshua, the book of Joshua. And there's a story in the book of Joshua where this guy, Joshua was the predecessor to Moses. Moses took him into the promised land. Now Joshua is responsible for distributing the promised land to each of the tribes of Israel. And there's this one guy by the name of Achan, and Achan decides he's going to take what doesn't belong to him, and he's going to put it in his tent. And because he does that, suddenly now the entire nation of Israel suffers defeat. There was territory that was promised to them, and now because of this one man's action, because his character didn't match the moment, his actions caused the entire nation of Israel to suffer defeat in areas where they shouldn't have. And so the character of one affected the whole. And so what I learned from that was that there's territory that God has promised to each of us. There are promises that he's given to each of us, but each of our character determines what we possess. And so you can't expect God to give you territory that your character is not prepared to carry. And so I want my character to match the territory that he's promised me. And what I ask myself is, Troy, in what areas of your life are you not prepared for right now? I mean, meaning where in your life should you be, but you're not because your character is underdeveloped. So Troy, let's take 2025 and work on character, and then don't worry about the land. So we spend so much time focusing on the promise that we neglect the character. but God won't give us the promise until our character can carry it. And so in 2025, I'm just like, okay, God, develop me. I'll surrender. Wherever it is in my life that I'm not the fullness of the image of Christ that meets my moment. Because, of course, I'm going to wake up tomorrow and there's going to be another area that I need developed. But where am I right now? What land do I not possess that I should possess because I haven't worked on my character? I want to work on my character in 2025.
I like it. That's good. Maybe I'll work on my
No
character
resolutions.
too.
No resolutions. Character development.
By character, I mean my comedic characters for short clips and videos.
Yeah.
All right.
Nice talking to everybody.
It was great. Everybody, we're out. Peace.
Really care about